Are we connected?
Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right, something's going on with my audio, but we'll go with this audio. Oh, whoa. I just lost everything.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
I lost all my screens are black.
Oh, I can see you.
Which, let's see, what in the world? Let me just try to refresh. If I lose everybody here, forgive me. Okay, well, if you're hearing me, I can go without one of my screens, I guess, and we'll just wing it here. Wow, that is interesting. Sorry, everybody. Give me 1 second. Not used to this problem. Let me. Oh wow, I can't even. This is odd. This is odd. Let me try this. Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, well, let's go ahead and go with what we got, even though I'm going to be without a screen, so I'll have to jump around a little bit, so hopefully it'll go okay. Okay, hey, Space Miner, welcome in. Okay, so how you doing, Ian?
Good, thank you. It's been a busy day, busy week, busy month, busy year. Yeah. Every time I wake up and silver's up, I think, oh, it could be quiet today, and then it gets busy. So that's encouraging. It's not scaring off people from buying. In fact, some people, it's doing the opposite. They're buying even more heavily than they ever have done.
Interesting. Yeah.
It might be a premonition that retail metals will become unobtainium, as Mike Maloney predicted.
Yeah. Boy, this is going to be hard for me not to be distracted here. So yeah, let's talk just a bit about that, because funnily enough, there's quite a bit of buzz in the community and on some of these other channels, and you got people going to coin shows, and a lot of people are selling a long ways under spot. We're talking $42, $50.
Really?
Yeah, and
That's because that's what the dealers will bid? Or...
well, from what I'm hearing, because it's just a few good deals here and there. People looking to get out. They're scared that it's going to drop back down. They're happy to sell out at a lower level just to get out, just because they feel like for them 40 is enough, I guess. But I really think that this is kind of I don't know if you'd call it an epidemic or what, but for the last couple years, I've been referred to as a pumper here on this channel because I think that it's going to get up to triple digits.
Yeah.
And whereas a lot of these other channels are saying, be careful of these people out there that are saying it's going to get up to the triple digits. Last time it got up to 50 and then crashed, and we're most likely going to see the same thing again. And, and I think sadly, this is causing lots of people to just be happy to sell out at 45, 50, 55 with spot actually being at 60 to 60 right now. Last I checked, it was 63. So, and the sad thing about this is like they've been telling everybody for the longest time, be careful, be protected, don't get caught up in the hype of higher prices. And they're trying to keep everyone so safe that in actuality they're causing them pain. They're hurt. They're in the end, if I'm right in my idea of triple digit silver, fiat destruction, they're gonna really regret not holding on to their silver and thinking, oh, I'll be happy just to get out at 40, not realizing their fiat is going to lose purchasing power, and possibly, like you just mentioned, Mike Maloney's unobtainium could become a thing here.
I think it has to.
Yeah.
Look at the structural deficits. I think we're roughly around 800 million ounces deficit total the last 5 years. That's the best estimate of the Silver Institute. I think it could be higher than that. We're at a point where our modern way of living that's dependent on silver, governments will have a choice. Either let their industries keep having silver and don't let retail investors have it, or conventional, industry ceases to manufacture products. And that's a complete collapse of a society, let alone an economy. If every manufacturer that has to have silver can't have silver, I mean, some will have a workaround and some will patch over, I guess. But the consequences would just be catastrophic.
Yeah.
So a government's responsibility in that case would be to make sure their industries get the silver. And then you add the military complex. Well, I think they've probably got even more clout, haven't they, with government pulling strings to get their silver first. So it will be retail investors will be last in the line as usual, and it will be, you'll probably still be able to get contracts maybe off the COMEX, 5,000, 100,000 out bars. They may still be available for a while. So I think it's coming. I think Mike was right.
Yeah. And we've been seeing it. Seems like for a month or so, I've been saying, they're buying more up on the back end, on the, the large industry, the whole on the backside of the wholesale. Seems like it's been getting sucked out on that side, whereas retail's kind of been selling. But on the back end, you got large countries and central banks starting to get into silver, so it's getting sucked out on the back end. Yep. And we got retail just under this illusion that it's going to fall back down to 20 or 15, or I just don't understand this.
Retail product has been continually destroyed. It's going to dealers, going to wholesalers. Wholesalers are overstocked. If they haven't got their own mint and can't mint their own product, and even talking to one of the largest mints in the US, their reserves of silver are backing up. So their bid has dropped now. They're paying less, not out of being mean, but because they're going to have to carry it for maybe 6 months before they can turn it into a retail product and sell the retail product. So they're just doing it on a business basis. If they got what's the carrying cost, you know?
Sure.
And then you add in hedging, and that goes from being able to make a profit hedging to making a huge loss per month. That's random. So unfortunately, we're getting destruction of retail product. It's going to the refiners. It's getting turned to 1,000-ounce bars, and then it's gone. I don't think that's coming back into the retail world.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about this ongoing problem in the mental block here. So let's start with Jeffrey Christian and CPM Group. And
yeah, he's an interesting guy for sure. Yeah.
So wasn't he just?
I can't remember when it was, but I remember his statement saying, "Yeah, silver can reach 50, but it won't be able to maintain 50. It will peak out and fall back." I don't know. I'd love to ask him the question: when's it going to fall back below 50, Jeff?
Yeah.
I don't think it is. And that was a daft statement, in my opinion, because you've got to take into account the ongoing debasement. And I'm sure he announced that before the 5 trillion raising of the debt ceiling. So I can only think that he has an agenda beyond telling the actual picture of all the information he has. He has an agenda of deterring the public, not causing people to want to get into silver by literally saying, yeah, it can reach 50. He was setting the ground for what has happened,
right?
But preventing or maybe even causing people to sell when it reached 50. Because the expert had said it can't maintain it. So anybody that listened to him, including institutional investors, will have sold at 50.
Yes.
So I mean, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I don't think I think this is a stair step up now.
I think so too. You got Think Differently 3000 in the chat here. He's over in Australia and he says it's nearly triple digit there. So
in Australian dollars, yeah.
Yeah, in Australian dollars.
Yeah.
But it's I was just looking on some of these big bullion dealers like APMEX. They're selling rounds at $70 right now. So that's
no way.
Yeah. Yep.
$7 premium
with credit card. Yep.
Yeah,
credit card with their premium.
Still take that off. That's still fine. I mean, we're selling Eagles for $3 to $4.
Over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, and it's sad to see this, and I think I really think some of these people who are selling at $45, $50 and maybe walking away with that cash right now thinking, oh, I'm so glad to be out of silver and that was such a stressful time waiting for it to get up to where I'm in the green, and then
I can understand that. I've got a very seasoned client. He started buying in the early 1980s. So he wrote it down and wrote it up and wrote it down. And generally he will sell some 100-ounce bars when he needs to. But recently he sold 1 or 2, and I think his psychology was, this is peaking out. I need to cash it in. But it's unlike almost any. I mean, yes, it is an investment. That's not its only function. But looking at silver as an investment, it's different to almost every other investment. Is you don't need to sell it to cash in your gain.
Right.
The gain is inherent in itself. Steve St. Angelo often says it's a store of energy. So
Yes.
one way of looking at silver is it present the cost of energy. The Saudis pumping out oil just to keep increasing production and keeping the price falling. They have a motive behind that. They have a motive to destroy the competition and get us back to $150, $200 oil. That's the plan there, and that is going to drive up the price of the cost of mining, because it's probably less than half the cost now. But when silver was in the 30s, the fuel was half the cost of a mine in moving the earth moving machinery and the crushing and the refining and the whole process. So looking forward, energy is going to cost more. But I've drifted off a bit my point. But my point, and I don't think I've heard many people do it, you don't have to sell it to secure your gain. The gain is in the metal. It is getting reset. It's starting to get closer. It's approaching its true value. And when you need to spend it, you spend a little bit of it. So you don't cash the whole lot in, turn it into fiat that is guaranteed to decrease in purchasing power, and have a tax event. If you report it, you've probably got a big tax event going on. So now you lose 28% of the gain instantly. Whereas if you keep it in the metal and only spend what you need to spend, I think that's the most secure way going forwards. I mean, I used to have targets. I mean, literally, when I was buying at 15, 16, yeah, I'm going to sell some at 15. I'm going to sell some at, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's like, it makes less and less sense now with the way the currency debasement can only continue until it can't. Let's wait till the dust settles. Maybe it's 5 to 15 years. I think we're definitely going to get the full digital system. We're going to get everything's tokenized, everything's linked, apart from this stuff that the government doesn't know you got. Unless government, you're watching, this is not mine. I just borrowed this. In fact, this is just foil covered chocolate. So having wealth stored outside of the system is going to have an extra value in itself. It's less likely to get wealth taxed, unrealized gains tax, but everything else, including crypto, because it's all coded, it's all of that's going to go on to the new digital dollar database, every piece of crypto. Or they'll ban the on and off ramps. They'll freeze it up. They'll say, yeah, you can join the party, but you have to be linked to the FedNow system. And that way, if you've made 90% profit on your Bitcoin, you'll get taxed automatically on it.
Sure.
So the only thing that's not going to get automatically taxed and controlled is anything held out of the system. That's why it's going to run out, because the trillions of dollars that are going to wake up right at the last minute looking for a lifeboat, not going to be any.
Yeah, and that's that's my fear for these people that are getting out. And
I'm sorry to interrupt. That's a great comment that Space Miner's just made. The silver is a passive income. It's a completely different way of thinking. A lot of people think, yeah, I got to see a return coming in on my principal. I've got to get dividends. The stock's going up. I've got to see dollars coming in. So they see that as growth. Whereas going forward, I mean, already now on the rolling year, we're nearly 100% up on silver. You've got to be pretty good to have done that in the last year. You could be lucky or incredibly skilled. Maybe some of the miners have done that, and some of the ETFs. But again, they're vulnerable for getting entangled in the new digital system. And if you do want to secure it, if you think it's peaking out, you have to sell it, turn it into dollars and get taxed. And now you're in dollars, which are in danger of getting caught into the digital system, or they will be in the digital system, because when we do go digital, and we will, everything goes into that system, and then it's automatically or manually controlled what you can and can't do with it. That is coming.
Yeah, that's coming. I'm hoping it fails on them quicker than they want, but we'll see how
It,
that
it,
plays
it
out.
will work for 5 to 15 years
5 to
because,
15, huh?
yep, 5 to 15 years. And then they will start debasing that immediately out of greed because, the Cantillon effect, he who gets the fresh fiat first gets the full benefit of it. They can't resist it. It's an addiction.
Yeah, yeah.
When I say they, I mean the privileged few, like Vanguard and BlackRock and Stain Street and all of the big hedge funds who have access to money at virtually no interest. So they get their hands on it. Their carrying costs are very low, and then they use that to buy real things. Then real things go up because there's more currency chasing them. They've invented what they think is an infinite transfer of wealth, but that it's only finite how long that can go on before it completely collapses.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm kind of wondering with this jump up in silver, like we talked a little bit offline about nationalizing mines.
Means of production, that is coming 100%. And it just occurred to me, joining the dots together, it started really when I was looking at copper. Well, okay, look who's mining the copper. Look at the age of the copper mines. Where does the copper get refined? 8 out of 22 of the largest smelters are in China. So copper comes from all around the world to China to get refined, even from Arizona. Arizona sends copper to China. Well, what's in a lot of copper? Byproducts. What are those byproducts? The key one we're talking about at the moment is silver. But it's not really important to the copper mining companies. So if the government says to copper mine X, you've infringed that environmental regulation. We could shut you down till you comply, or we're not going to grant you an extension to extend your mine life, mine depth, or adjoining land. But if you give us the byproducts, we'll wave you through. We'll give you a click. We'll give you the permits next week. You can carry on doing your copper, making your money on copper, but we get the byproducts. Now, if all the countries that mine copper did that, that's 70 to 80% of the silver supply is now in governmental hands, is in fresh production. And fresh production is the only thing that is easing this crisis now. I think we're really reaching a point where the COMEX, LBMA, Shanghai are effectively drained of any depth of reserves of metal, and I think we're probably not far off from sucking out what loose hands will sell in the retail world.
Yeah,
we've had less come on than we had back last year when we got into 35, 36 briefly. There was a huge glut then. So that's dropped off. So I think there isn't this huge, massive pot in retail hands, private family office hands, that is going to come into the market. It's like Space Miner said, if it's passive income with no maintenance, you're only going to spend what you need to spend. And it's baked in with ongoing currency debasement. That's baked in, and financial repression is baked in. So if you want to avoid that, you keep your metal and you sell what you have to or choose to. That way, there's no mass of that's come out of the system into private hands. I don't see it flowing back into industry. So therefore, the governments will have no choice but to seize the means of production.
Yes, and I've heard, for the past, since I've been in the metals, that it takes probably 10, 15 years for my new mine to come online. Everybody says, well, when the price increases, new mines will come online. But on the other side of that, I always hear, well, it's going to take 10 to 15 years to get any new mines.
The whole setup has been crushed, right from students training to be geologists, students training to be skilled mine workers, processors, refiners. it's dying out. It's aging out. The skills are in people who are ready to retire. And if you think, a lot of them are probably heavily personally into precious metals, they'll be able to retire comfortably now. They can say, sorry, I'm off. I'm done with this. It's like, I don't need to work again. We're going to lose. I think we'll probably be losing the skills to find new deposits and extract them and process them. And that's mainly because of the suppression has been for, well, at least since 1816, when Britain came off the silver standard. That's when a major point of suppression of the price of silver. So that's destroyed future production over centuries, not just decades. There's been no incentive, just risk. And the number of explorations that fail is incredible. I think of total potential mines. I think the success rate is 1 in 1,000 of, bright ideas. Yeah. Oh, look what I found. This patch of land, it's got this deposits and this and that. If you count all of them, only 1 in 1,000 actually go to actually make and produce metal. So we're not going to get a mass increase in production.
Yeah.
So we'll be rationing. And it's the right, isn't it not the right thing for a government to do? If their industry cannot function, can't produce its refrigerators, its clothes, its glass, its fabrics, its wound dressings, it's all the electronics, you name it, on, water purification. If all of that grinds to a halt, you'd have like 20%, 30% unemployment. That'd be a complete breakdown of society.
And I think that's what will happen. I think that's part of why the manipulation is so bad. And
the consequences, the consequences are huge. And it's stolen the wealth from the countries that have been producing the precious metals. The artificial low price. Half of all the gold ever mined has come out of South Africa. They don't have half of all of the gold wealth, do they now? Whatever that is in tens of trillions of dollars.
Right.
I think was it Colonel Gaddafi's son in Libya said, we want our gold back because all their gold disappeared.
Right. Yep.
And same in Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan and the Philippines, and it's what it's means, motive, and opportunity. Wherever the US Army has been creating a war or provoking a war, taking part in a war, normally all of those, the gold has disappeared. Yep. So, we've stolen that wealth. And a lot of it goes back, doesn't it? I didn't realize that Colonel Gaddafi was trying to do a gold-backed system to trade oil in gold.
Yep.
So we've had this ongoing centuries-long attack on the precious metals, and the consequences run maybe for 100 years into the future now.
Yeah. Yep. And I think it's like you say, if the government wouldn't have been there and the miners wouldn't have been able to, invest in themselves properly, and they would be more steady, therefore keeping the industry supplied. But with this suppression, suddenly the government's going to wake up, like you say, and be like, oh no, we don't have enough silver. They're going to nationalize the mines.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to open up new silver right away.
I mean, I get criticized for being political, but I am satirical because I'm British. And it's like, okay, so we need a ballroom. So we can probably build a $300, $400 million ballroom in 3 years, but we can't build a mine. The priorities are just, and the mega rich, their priorities, they just get distorted. They just get into a virtual reality world.
Yeah.
Where the perception or the understanding of the critical nuts and bolts of the world, they just don't get it.
Yes. And all the while, the retail has been buying into this, silver is not going to go up. And if it does go up, it'll crash back down. And
the volatility and the crappy spreads and a lot of the precious metals industry is crap. It's absolute rubbish. The bid ask is abysmal. Even a lot of the wholesalers now aren't even offering. You've got to call if you want to sell them something and negotiate a price. I mean, we've got one wholesaler who pay really well, you know, and we've had a long-standing relationship and we've spent many millions with them. And if we do need to lay some product off, we can do it. They pay us out within a day of receiving the product, so we got no worries there on delayed payment. But generally, I mean, like you said earlier, I mean, people selling silver at $45 when spot is 60s, in the 60s.
Yep.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the system has been like that. I was talking to my goldsmith yesterday. He said they offer 70% of the metal content when they buy scrap jewelry. I had no idea. We've been paying 90%. And I thought that was a bit mean. I thought, oh, well, I can do 90 because I know it's going to sit in a box till I find out, you know, get enough to send to a refiner to get enough batch to make it worthwhile, you know. But and industry's been paying between 50 and 70%. And you think when people bought that jewelry, they pay 4, 5, 6 times the price of the metal content already, and they're only getting half when they sell it. I mean, it's just rubbish, isn't it? The whole flipping thing is accidentally, what's the word? It's accidentally come together to make it really rubbish for the retail buyer on a short term. You know, and you add that volatility by the manipulation and the spoofing, and that's what scares a lot of people off.
Sure.
You know, if you buy it, and it is upsetting. I bought, what did I buy? 7,000 ounces when it was $27, and it went down to 17.
Right.
It's like if I'd had to sell it, that's a huge drop. So you can see why people have been skeptical, and you can see why dealers are cynical and they're scared to buy, you know. But and in a way, it's an advantage not to have been in the industry too long. I think a lot of people have trauma. I mean, when you get a financial shock, it's a shock, it's distress, it's pain, and the human body, the body, the psychology, your brain is naturally wired to avoid future pain. So you store that memory and you behave in a way to try and avoid it in the future. So hence, like I think you were saying earlier, that dealers were buying it at 40 and selling it for 45, or do you know what I mean? They were buying it really cheap, selling it really cheap just to get rid of it quick.
Yeah.
Because they were scared to get caught holding it falling.
Yes. Which, you know, is why you should deal in metals that you know.
Nickel stacking. Let's pull that comment up there.
I can't because my
I'll read it out in case anybody's just listening. So nickel stacking 2023 says Yankee Stacking's Tim said he would not buy silver at $100 an ounce. Well, I had a client, he was spending $5,000 a week, and he was buying steadily, and he'd buy silver, platinum mainly. And then he asked one week what silver was, and it was 34 something, including the premium. And he said, I vowed I am never buying silver over $34. I didn't say anything. It was like, in my head, I was thinking, idiot.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if he'd bought then at 64, he could sell it back to me now for 60 if he wanted to sell it.
Yeah.
So to say something, I am not buying it, it's like, where does that come from? It's not logic.
Yeah, it
isn't logic. Now, I know he's in his 70s, so he's probably going to retire soon, and he can probably do, you know, and he seems like a nice guy. But to say I am not buying it, I mean, this morning I looked through my wholesalers list, and I always look for sealed boxes. It's my preference. If I can get sealed boxes of any government coin for the same price or less than they normally charge for like random, you know, which come in, they may be tubes that have been opened or different dates mixed up. They may not be an original tube. I'll buy it. And I bought a box of Philharmonics, and it was $60.76 premium. And I thought, oh, flip. I'm spending over $30,000 for a monster box. It's like,
yeah, wow.
But that's up $1,000 today. So if I'd said I am not buying over 60,
right,
I wouldn't have made $2,000 today, would I?
Right.
So
that's really the thing that I've been trying to hammer home is we're on a different playing field.
we're on different plane. Everything is relative. It's ratios, and it's the fundamentals. It's 80 times more currency now than we had in 1918. You factor in, read Mike Maloney's book. I mean, heck, it's about the best book out there, isn't it? I think. The
Right. Yep.
great gold and silver rush. That is about the best, probably about the best book that's written. You know, he took him 4 years of research to write that. I think you can get it for like $19 now. If you haven't got that, get a copy, because that is an epic book. All credit to Mike for all the effort he put into making that.
Yeah, no doubt. He's put a lot of good information out, and it would save people this headache of where they're at, not understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
And you would understand the metal that you're getting into.
Yeah.
And you know, so like if I, you know, think that it's going triple digits, I might not buy as heavily as it jumps up to its all-time, but I'm still buying in because I understand where I think it's going to end up.
Yeah.
And
if you have spare fiat dollars or fiat pounds or fiat yen or fiat anything, or even fiat Bitcoin, because it is fiat, that's fiat. If you have anything that is, that, you know, hasn't got fundamental value and it's spare, and you want to turn it into a store, it doesn't matter what price silver is, does it?
Right. No, yeah, that's it. If you don't understand the fiat trouble that we're in, you're gonna get hurt, and you know, and that is really what's boggling my mind, is that these people are feeling happy to sell under spot, you know, and people are buying it.
I remember way back at the silver symposiums, and oh my gosh, where else did we go? I think it was mainly at silver symposium. So many people said, when it hits 50, I'm selling. And I said, well, why? You know, and even who's that guy? E.B. Tucker.
Yeah.
He stated, I'm selling when it gets to, I'm selling, I'm going to move into the next fastest car, you know. And it's like, well, what if all the other cars crash? And silver reminds me in a way, how am I going to make this tie in? I heard somebody, a Formula One racing driver or a manager, he said, to win the race, first you must finish. And it's like, yes, you don't have to be in the fastest car all the time. You don't have to switch from car to car to car to car, because some of those are going to crash and burn, and the driver's going to die. Like, in extremis, you know, I was going to crash and not complete the race. They're never going to get past the line. And getting past the line is holding your purchasing power.
It's like
this will get to the finish line.
Yeah, silver's a lot like the rabbit and the hare cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Where you know the rabbit's running just circles around the turtle, and this turtle's just slow and steady, and the rabbit ran, you know, the race 10 times over, but then got caught up right there at the end, you know, doing something else, and the turtle slowly meanders over the finish line. And you know, that you watch all these cryptos and all these all the talk, all the hype. And I've just been looking, you know, the fiat debasement and real value and the ratios of deficits, and you just add it all together, and silver is your win. And, and it's starting, I think, to show. So
Space Miner's got a good question. He says, how often do your customers say no, only to come back paying thousands more? Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it does happen. I don't rub it in. I try to get them an even better deal than I probably should. One example, a local client who's become a friend, sold their apartment earlier this year, and they didn't know what to do with it. They're probably not going to have a full-time job again. They're probably going to, you know, entering into retirement. They're single. And I said, look, park it all into silver. I said, it's not going to crash on you. It's almost guaranteed to do better than a CD, 5%. You know, if you tie your money up for a year, you're going to get 5% on a certificate of destruction. They didn't. Now, if they'd done that, they would have doubled, literally doubled, and maybe more. So they did come back to me a couple of weeks ago, and I did cut my deal, and they bought a little bit, but they only bought a little bit, and they bought it at 53, and now it's 63.
Yeah.
And it's like, so yes, some people do compound, and some people I never hear from again. And that's the volatility scares people out. But it circles back to exactly what you said, B, about study it, understand it. If it is for you, stick at it.
Yeah.
Keep researching, and if more information comes in, you can change your mind.
Right.
You can stop buying, you can stop topping up. You can wait for a bit, but if you don't study it and learn it and stick at it, you're going to be, what's that verse in the Bible? An unstable man is tossed and turned by the waves.
Oh,
you're going to be tossed and turned by the forces around you.
Yep. Double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. Brian here makes a great point too. Brian Kerr, welcome in. Thanks for being here. He says, when I reach my silver goal, I will be buying platinum.
It is screaming. Neil said earlier about the silver to platinum ratio is all-time out of whack. So yeah, I think 1 ounce of that is still 1,700 including premium. Now it's hard paying that because last year it was only 900. But it's still was it 190 tons production?
Right.
And I think, yes, these industrial uses are important and they're a big part of the driver at the moment, but we can turn on a pin to investment demand, secure people trying to exit stocks, exit whatever. When silver's unavailable, maybe there'll be some platinum. When platinum, just the investment demand justifies all of these metals being way, way, way higher.
Yes.
And I think that's coming. There is a wave. We had, what was it, 4 months ago, Morgan Stanley said 20% in your portfolio, dump half of your bonds and buy gold. And then Jeffrey Gundlach, double line, said 25% isn't too heavy.
Yeah.
And obviously that hasn't happened. Obviously there would be no gold or silver left for retail. It would have gone. If that had been acted on the next day, silver would be $300, $400 and unobtainable, because gold would have gone to 10, 15, 20,000 and silver would go along for the ride. So yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on them. But again, I would say study them.
That's the key.
What is the shock that could upset your theory? For me, for platinum, when Russia stops attacking Ukraine and some sort of deal is done, the Western mining companies are going to move in, and part of the deal, they'll mine out of Russia and Ukraine. Russia's the major reserves of platinum. There could be a flood of platinum onto the market. So for me, that's like, I don't know how long it would take to crank up the production or even start a production again. Maybe some of the platinum mines have ceased for lack of workers, lack of fuel, lack of engineers to fix the equipment. So I don't know any of that information. I don't know who does. So that would stop me going more than a few percent at the moment in platinum.
Yeah,
I think we're about 1% platinum, maybe 2%. That sort of, and that's enough. And obviously I have the privilege as a dealer. I can move fairly quickly out of one metal into another. I can do that usually in a day if I want to. I can change my balance. But it's still going to do way better than anything, I think, in stocks, shares, crypto. Platinum is going to outperform.
I think we're going to see, like we were talking about the nationalizing earlier, I think as this fiat war becomes a commodity war, which we're witnessing right now, the beginnings of it, I think these countries are going to suck up all of the available metals,
Yep.
even if they don't have the industry use case for them
Yep.
on hand right now, because they're going to see the devastation that's going to happen through the silver in America when we can't run our own industry because of our manipulation.
Yep.
And people, then they're going to overcover themselves. And like you, I think that's going to come to the unobtainium for the retail.
Yep.
And then these people that were so happy to get their fiat for in selling their silver $10 under spot price are going to just be holding on to that devaluing fiat, thinking
it is tragic. I heard of a guy, local guy. He's been selling his silver to my goldsmith actually, and he's been looking after him. He's been paying him well, but he started selling 100-ounce bars at $30, and every few weeks he sells them a 100-ounce bar. And he asked him, "Well, what are you doing with the dollars?" He said, "Oh, I'm putting them in my savings account." It's like, oh my gosh,
right.
But it's just ingrained. It's the people's brains are, the roots are wired.
Yes.
That you put it in savings, it's safe there, it'll be there when I need it. It's like, no, you got if one doesn't break out the fact that that is designed to destroy the purchasing power, guaranteed. It's a one time the government tells the truth, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you seen they did, like, I'm not sure who did this little trial test, but they put like 10 people into a room and they would show them a picture of 3 lines on a piece of paper, and they would start with, but all 9 people had been informed, you say 1 line even though there's 3 lines on the paper, and the one guy that doesn't know the rest of these 9 people will get asked the question last. And so they go through all 9 of the people, and everybody says, oh, there's 1 line on that piece of paper when there's actually 3. And then they get to that last person, and he has a hard time, even though he sees that there's,
break from the crowd.
Yeah. Right. He can't go against it.
Yeah.
So, and then they put in one other person into that group who would admit, just one, out of the 8 would admit to there's 3 lines there. And then that last person might say, well, I see the 3, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's where we're at is just that it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked to see at these coin shows, people, these, dealers that I would have thought would have had a view, like, why are you stacking if you don't see what I see? But I've come to find that that's just not the case. Lots of people are just in it for.
I mean, one smaller wholesaler that I try to use as much as I can, because I really like the founders and the guys that work there. I was talking to the guy who's normally my rep, and I said, I hope you got plenty, and he hasn't. It's like, oh my gosh, your career is in bullion, but you haven't.
Yeah.
And I was at Money Metals Depository when was it? Only a few days ago. And I have all this $20 million high-tech new building, and you go into this vault, all cameras and, all high security. And I was chatting to the guys in the vault. And it's like one of them, I stopped buying at 35 because I thought it was going to pull back. It's like, you're surrounded by this stuff. Doesn't it just soak into you from the environment? And you probably heard Andy Chapman time and time again. He'd say when he started working for his dad told him, you can work for me, but you buy something every week or every 2 weeks. You buy something.
Best advice.
If you don't, you're fired.
Yeah.
And it's like, why don't the precious metals companies insist that? Right. Or say, here's your salary, but part of it, 3% of it is metals, or 4%. But I guess you can lead a horse to water.
Right.
You can't make it drink. Which is good, because it's given time for us who have seen it more time.
Yeah.
There's been less competition. So the price has been lower because there's been less competition for the metal. All of us who've got a stack wouldn't have as much if more people had noticed. So,
yes.
looking at it selfishly.
Right. Yeah. Even though I've been kind of screaming at everybody to get in because it's going to go way up, but I lost the battle. But I guess I'm winning on just because I'm doing what I think I should do. So
a few people noticed. I had a friend not far from you actually in Colorado, and he had a loan, and he had the choice. I could pay the loan off by selling some silver. And he called me to sell the silver, and I said, Nathan, I'll buy your silver, but please don't sell it. Just keep your silver because it will go up so much faster than the interest on your loan. Just keep paying the installment on your loan. Keep that good. And if you need to sell a teeny bit to pay a payment, do that.
Right.
That was at $22. He was adamant he was going to sell at 22 because silver's going nowhere, and he might as well save 6% interest on his loan and pay his loan off. It's like,
yep.
So Nathan, if you're listening, you owe me. He offered me a steak dinner. I think he offers me a weekend break in Hawaii.
No doubt.
So some people listen.
Yeah. Well,
some people do listen. Yeah, I mean that's why we started the business, because 2017 I came late to really understanding the nuts and bolts of the fiat system. I never trusted it, and I couldn't necessarily put my finger on why. And then I was just telling everybody who would listen, and everybody who wouldn't listen, I'd still tell them.
Yeah.
And most of them started buying. I mean, one guy, he spent 50 grand on the spot, called up a dealer and bought 50 grand of gold. And it's like 20 minutes before, he was convinced everything was fine, nothing to see here. He's fine staying in the system that's going to look after him. 20 minutes of me blasting his ear holes off about the labor participation rate, the false inflation figures, all of the phony figures we get given, trying to say everything's fine. I mean, heck, we've even got the president now saying affordability is a scam. Things are getting cheaper, and it's like you only need one pencil, you don't need 37 pencils, or you only need $1, you don't need $37. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Things are costing more in our fiat currency.
Yeah, I have to hand it to him. I've never seen someone who could say something out of one side of his mouth, say the exact opposite out of the other side of his mouth, and people somehow continue to
give him credit. He's never actually had to go to a shop and buy anything.
True.
He's never had to drive a car. He probably hasn't had to wipe his ass for the last 5 years. So he's never had to do anything.
He can just say whatever he wants.
Exactly.
And it'll be accepted. So it's like, wow, that's amazing. But yeah, so I think let's talk a little before we get off. Our time's about up here. I apologize. I don't have my screen, so I can't see my questions or anything. But what about how's your rhenium looking? I know you've
rhenium. The setup just gets better and better. Rolls-Royce need 18 tons next year. They haven't signed a contract for it yet. So if Rolls-Royce is watching, if you give us 25,000 a kilo, I might sell you some. They haven't got a contract yet. They're sleepwalking into a crisis where there won't be enough. Well, there will be, because they'll have to keep offering more. But at some point, it won't matter how much you offer. You can't substitute it.
Fill it, yeah.
The setup is just looking absolutely awesome. We've got the Department of Logistic Acquisitions. That's the USA government arm, basically looking at the strategic metals and thinking, okay, what do we need to make a stockpile? They want 58 tons. Well, the whole world production is only 50 and falling, plus about 20 of recycling. The UK has announced it's going to form a strategic fund because of its aviation. Rolls-Royce, the home of Rolls, is the UK.
Okay.
So it's still huge. I mean, Britain is huge in arms manufacturing. The BAO, oh my gosh, I can't remember it. The B something arms manufacturer. I should remember. My cousin used to work for them. They're huge, missiles and all of that stuff. They need it. Europe is declared they forming a strategic power, obviously, because the Rafale fighter jet, the Saabs, Griffin. You know, there's a lot of weapons get made in Europe and the UK that need rhenium. So they're trying to form it. So you've got, I mean, if you add those two, they're going to be looking for at least 100 tons. The UK, Europe, and the US. It doesn't exist.
Wow.
You know, investors in China are mopping it up. They're sort of overtly and covertly buying it in Europe where they can. So yeah, the setup just keeps improving. We just had, what do we have delivered today? Yeah, about $2.8 million of rhenium delivered today.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, well, that's so cool. That, you know, a couple of years ago when you first started talking about it, to see where it's got to now, and
No,
now
it was only September last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
September, October. So it's only just over a year. Yeah, it's gone from 2,500 to 4,000. So not quite keeping up with silver, but in a way that's actually good because more people are going to be looking at silver. And when you look at the price per kilo of silver now, at spot it is $2,019.71 at spot. So if you put a modest premium on that, you're about 2,100, 2,200 a kilo. So rhenium is less than twice the price of silver. Yet by production, it's 500 times less.
Wow.
So that's the factor. It's 250 out of whack if you considered it. Okay, if you consider the scarcity as a value, if you do, you know, that would put it at, oh my gosh, 250 times 4,000, whatever that is. That's a big number. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to get that far, but it will approach the price of platinum. And platinum is what, 50? Neil probably knows off the top of his head.
It's like at 17 last I checked or something.
No, I mean in price per kilo, $53,714 a kilo.
Okay.
So that's rhenium's lowest value use, is as a substitute for platinum and diluting platinum. That's the use that will drop off as rhenium approaches the price of platinum. But then more platinum will be needed, and that will be an upward pressure on the price of platinum. And platinum is going to get pulled up. Platinum is going to track gold. I think the worst case scenario is platinum tracks gold.
Yeah.
And gold is going to carry on going up because gold is undervalued compared to the dollar. And so you just look at all of these ratios, and I still think rhenium is the most underpriced metal.
Yeah. See, and I think that we that are really, you know, tracing some of these metals are kind of proving out my point. And I think we're quite a ways ahead of the government, like we're talking.
Yeah.
But you seeing and moving, making the moves that you're making is just kind of proof to me that, like what I was talking about, you know, silver and gold going up is going to bring a fine tooth comb through the rest of these metals.
Exactly. And wait till some managed money and some hedge funds and family offices start waking up thinking,
yes,
what else could be a fast car?
And it won't just be there's not going to be all these other avenues that there's been in these past.
And it's not a what if, it's when. You know,
yes, exactly.
There's been lots of conversations about the percentage of assets under management that are in metals. It's people are going to wake up. We're in a 10, 20, maybe a permanent commodity bull market.
It will be for a while. Yeah,
I think it's decades long from here.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we better wrap up. What deals you got for the people out there? You got anything on your desk?
Oh, give me a ring. I'll find you something at spot. Yeah.
All right. Looks like Space Miner's throwing up your info. I appreciate it. I can't get to my tabs with all the handy info on it. So yeah, reach out to Ian at ARK S.G.O. 307-264-9441. Email is Ian, IAN, at ARKSGO.com.
And we've got some fun stuff. We've got some contemporary Washington quarters came in the other day. I didn't even know they did 90% modern ones, which is pretty cool. So we got some of those came in, which are fun. We've got quarter ounce Armenian Noah's Arks. We've got quarter ounce Britannias, which is a first. I am so excited to see that come in.
Yeah,
So
quarter ounce Britannias. That's a new one.
And they're not going to be a heavy premium. In fact, will probably be less for 4 quarter ounce Britannias, and most dealers are charging on 1 ounce.
Wow, amazing.
Those are great. I mean, going forwards now, I think twice about giving somebody an ounce of silver. I used to talk to somebody, and sometimes,
you just give them one.
Yeah, feel it, look at it, study it, learn about it. But now, I'm like, ooh, do I want to give 6?
I know. Yeah, I'm the
no,
same
I
way.
don't. So a quarter ounces are useful,
Sure,
and it's a meaningful gift, And the Britannia is probably one of the most beautiful because of the detail that they still get onto the quarter ounce. It's all of the detail that's on the 1 ounce, crushed, squished down. It doesn't lose any of its sharpness. So.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see those. That'll be interesting.
And I just got my first box there of 2026s, which I haven't even opened yet.
Nice.
So they may become valuable because I haven't been following it, but I don't know how long King Charles is going to last. So if he's a short reign, coins of King Charles could start to appreciate numismatically a little bit.
He's definitely not going to get the span that the
he's
Queen
not going to do 70 years. No, he's not going to do the platinum. No. Oh, one more visual. So I'm going to ask people, anybody who's still listening, if I haven't bored you, when is this going to happen?
I'm on quite a delay, so I'm
holding up a 100-ounce bar of silver and 2 ounces of gold.
Okay.
I think it's coming soon.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, I think that's coming soon. 50 to 1.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. It's made a great gain so far. Just since you last said when it was a 105 to
I said sell your gold, buy silver.
Yep. I asked it, and you went ahead and said do it. I was
no hesitation. And I remember saying to Jesse on Commodity Culture, gold is a distraction. Because all the buzz was about gold. Everybody wanted to get gold. And that was when the ratio was still 100 or the high 90s. And it just didn't make sense to go all in on gold.
Yeah. Yep. It's a 30% gain just since then that, for those that have moved heavy into silver and ignored that distraction of gold and everybody thinking that putting all the hype into it. And
the only problem is the spread is higher on silver than most dealers, which it shouldn't be. I'm passionate to do what I can to help make it money at least for the individuals that choose to take that route. And part of that is to keep the spread as low as possible. And I think if the other dealers did it, maybe they'd increase their sales.
Yeah, well, I wanted to make this a little bit clearer. I didn't make it very clear, but see, I think there's some dealers that are trying to protect their people by buying under spot and selling under spot. But in actuality, see, I think in the long run, it's going to end up hurting them because this isn't just a spoof that's going to drop back down. And by giving people that mentality, they're scared to move in. And we're not only are we going to triple digits, we're going to past 200, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, just be real. You're, just like any business, an honest dealer deserves an honest wage. And Ian has been on it. He's being honest. He comes out and talks about what he thinks is right and puts his money where his mouth is and understands his metals. And that's where he puts his money. And the people need to think for themselves, do their research themselves, and know what metal you're buying and then deal with honest people. And so here we are. Give Ian a call. I think we're going to wrap it up here for the night. I appreciate you coming on here with me, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks and do it again. We're about to wrap up the year. It's been quite a year for the metals, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
Wow. we're coming up here on Christmas, and then yeah, who the momentum trader? Do you remember his name off the top of your head?
Michael Oliver.
Yeah, Michael Oliver. He was talking about, I'm not going to give exact timing, but I think pretty early in the next year, he was already talking the $200 silver. So he thinks we're going to get there pretty fast. I don't know personally, but yeah, I personally think we have quite a ways to go. And you got to understand the devaluing fiat to understand why the metals are so good or so safe
and human action.
Yes,
You know,
exactly. And
the
how we became the global reserve currency from closing the gold window and forced everyone into this false reality that we've been enduring for the past my whole life. So anyway, yeah, all right, we'll be back soon with more. Thank you, Ian, and everybody
You're
out
welcome,
there in
very
chat.
welcome.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will be back soon with another one. Thanks all. Oh man, I can't even get to my screen to shut it off, so I'm gonna have to unplug stuff. So anyway, all right, thanks everybody. I'll give you a call here, Ian, because I gotta shut down normally. So all right, talk to y'all later.